Hey, guys, welcome to Vanquisher. In this video we discuss part 6 of Naruto, The Vanquisher. Chapter 6, Mission to Oversee. It's been 6 days since Hiruzen and Naruto had a conversation, but Naruto still hasn't made up his mind to make a decision. Naruto was sitting on top of the fourth Hokage's head and looking at the village. There was a glint of sadness visible on his face, and he was unable to make a decision. Then he heard a voice from the back of his head. At first he didn't recognize it, but soon realized that it was the Kyuubi. The Kyuubi then said, "Hey kid, if you can't decide what to do about your enemies in the future, you are as good as dead. If you can't make a decision, then you should not become a ninja. The last time you met me, I said you are lacking. What you lack is the resolve to become a ninja." Naruto then asked, "Hey Kyuubi, is there any other way around except for killing? With all this killing there will always be a conflict and no peace. If they want peace, then why can't they stop fighting? If all this killing and fighting are stopped, then do you think there will be peace?" Kyuubi then laughed at him and said, "The world you live in is not meant to be peaceful. I have lived long enough and I have seen many humans who wished for peace. None of them succeed to bring peace to this world. Humans are very greedy and their thirst for power will drive them to a conflict. At first, humans would come to us for protection and we used our powers to protect their civilizations. Soon, they got greedy for power and wanted the power we possess for their gain and to satisfy their greed. Soon they started to attack us for the power we have. At first we didn't mind their actions, but soon the attacks started to grow in number. We are hunted like animals. Every one of us didn't like their actions and we started to destroy the towns that we once protected. Soon the era of war came and all the ninja clans started to fight for supremacy. 6 centuries and the trials of wars can be seen everywhere. Naruto, I can't let you use my power if you can't make a strong resolve. The reality is not you think it is very hard to face, but you have to face it head on and stand strong." Naruto then opened his eyes and it was already sunset. He then walked to his house. After reaching his house he fell into a deep sleep. The next morning Naruto got up and depressed then left for the academy. He was in the hospital for a week and had no information about what happened in the past week. Soon the class was filled with students and Iruka started class. Naruto asked his friends about what happened in the past week. He didn't know that he was being followed by a group of Anbus. They are dressed as Hokage's Anbu squad and are very careful to be noticed. The day passed by and in the Hokage's office we see 2 older men sat facing each other. One of them had an eye covered with bandages and his arm was also covered with a pitch black cloth. They both were discussing the recent incidents in the village. Hiruzen then raised the topic about the Uchiha clan massacre. Danzo had a sad look on his face and said it happened so suddenly that no one realized that they will be massacred by their clansmen. The massacre had decreased our reserve forces and it is an unimaginable loss to Konoha. At least we have 2 Uchihas who are you and came from promising families. We can train them and make them stronger by the time they graduate." Danzo then said what he came for, and it was about the training of the Jinchuriki. He said that the forces of Konoha are reducing in recent years. Danzo then said we need our Jinchuriki in this critical moment to make sure he masters the Kyuubi's power. "I will train him personally." Hiruzen then said to Danzo, "I don't agree with what you proposed because your ideals are more violent and if I give you the authority over the Jinchuriki, then you will bring destruction to Konoha. Until I'm alive you won't lay a finger on him. Be grateful for what you have. If you try to gain control over him then your foundation would be destroyed. I have given you the freedom to run the route without public notice. Don't be greedy. If go anywhere near him then you will pay for it with your life." Danzo then looked at Hiruzen with a smile on his face and said, "I won't dare to disobey the orders of the Hokage. I will follow your orders and won't go near him." Hiruzen looked at him and said, "You may leave now and don't cause unnecessary problems in the village." Danzo then got up and left the room. While he was going through the reception he saw Naruto. Danzo then went to the route headquarters and summoned his Anbus. After they arrived he ordered them to watch every movement of Naruto Uzumaki without getting noticed by Hiruzen's squad. The squad leader nodded in agreement and disappeared into the darkness. In an old mansion located in the Shinobi district of Konoha we see both Hiruzen and Naruto standing in a dimly lighted room. Hiruzen then said, "Naruto, I would like to hear what you have decided in the past week." Naruto then said, "As you know, I was trained by you to protect Konoha from any danger." He then looked at Hiruzen and said, "There is no change in my purpose, but from the recent incident, I came to know that there are many enemies within Konoha who work for their gain. So, I have made up my mind to be merciless to anyone who opposes me from protecting Konoha. Naruto, you have completed your training and from now on you're free to use your as you wish, but don't cause any havoc in the village." Naruto was about to leave, but Hiruzen stopped him and told Naruto that he should move into the shinobi quarters. Naruto nodded and left the place and went to his house. He packed all his things. The next morning Naruto was ready to move to his new house in the shinobi district. Hiruzen came to Naruto's house and he was escorted by two jonins. After meeting Naruto they all walked towards the shinobi district. Both Hiruzen and Naruto were chatting along the way. After walking for half an hour they reached the shinobi quarters. It was a huge apartment with 5 floors. It is a very costly place to live in. Hiruzen took Naruto to the 4th floor of the building. They both then entered one of the houses and the jonins who were escorting them were standing outside the house. Hiruzen closed the door and activated a seal on the door, then said, "Naruto, you should be careful about how you reveal your power because a lot of people will be spying on you from now on. One more thing, this house belongs to your mom. It was locked after she married your father and moved to another house. This is her property and from now on this house belongs to you. This house contains many secrets about your mother and her clan. I think you can find everything about your mother in this house and she is a seal master like Jiraiya. So, there may be many scrolls in this house that are related to sealing techniques." After saying this Hiruzen left the place and Naruto started to arrange everything in place. While arranging things he found 2 seals which are hidden behind furniture in the house. One of them is a summoning contract seal and the other one is a storage seal, but it was very different from the other storage seals he has mastered until now. He was very tired with all the work he has done until now and he was asleep within no time. Naruto woke up after a while and it was dark outside. When he looked through the window it was already midnight. Naruto then had nothing to do and he had nowhere to go. He searched all his belongings and found instant ramen noodles in his luggage. He went to the kitchen and boiled some water for his ramen. He then remembered what his grandpa said and went and stood in front of the storage seal. He watched it for a long time, but he didn't find a way to unseal the storage seal. Then he heard the whistle from the kitchen. He went into the kitchen and prepared his ramen. He started to eat his meal, but he was thinking about the seal. He didn't find a way to unlock the seal and it was taking a lot of time. So, Naruto decided to leave it for another day. Then he went to the summoning seal on the floor beside his bed. Naruto then bit his thumb and went through the required hand signs, then slammed his hand on the seal. There was a puff of smoke. When the smoke cleared there was a huge wooden box in front of him on the floor. Naruto then remembered the key that was given to him by Hiruzen. He started searching for the key and at last, after searching for an hour he found the key. Naruto then went and opened the box. He was shocked to see what's in the box. The box was filled with lots of scrolls. They are all huge scrolls of different colors, but they all had Uzumaki crests on either side of the knob. Naruto then took all the scrolls out of the box and there are 20 scrolls in total, out of which 10 scrolls contained the secret techniques of the Uzumaki clan. Naruto opened the scrolls to see what kind of secret techniques are being hidden in those scrolls. Each scroll has 5 secret techniques in a total of 50 secret techniques. There are all types of techniques like ninjutsu, genjutsu, kenjutsu, taijutsu, and fuinjutsu. He kept all those scrolls aside, but there are still 10 scrolls sitting in the wooden box. Naruto started to examine all the scrolls in the box, but he found a summoning contract and a forbidden scroll to his surprise. The summoning contract had a kanji for wolf imprinted on it. By the looks of the scroll it seems to be a very old summoning contract. He then remembered about the summoning contracts that he learned during his training, but didn't hear about any wolf contract, and Hiruzen also didn't mention the other contracts except for toads, slugs, snakes, dogs, and monkey summoning contracts that Konoha owns. Other than this summons, Naruto didn't hear about any other summons. Even Hiruzen didn't mention any other summoning contracts, so he decided to ask Hiruzen when he met him next time. Naruto then took the forbidden scroll, but he couldn't open it because it was also sealed with an unknown seal. Naruto left it behind and then looked at the other scrolls, and they were all storage scrolls with more storage capacity than the other storage scrolls available in the ninja market. Naruto felt tired about all this and he couldn't find a way to unseal the other seal, and it was early in the morning and Naruto fell asleep. Naruto went into his mindscape and walked towards the cage, and Kyuubi was not in the cage. Naruto walked near the cage and looked into the cage, but he didn't find him. The cage had no light. It was darker as you moved to the other side of the cave. Naruto tried to enter the cage, but he blasted backward into the sewer when he was about to step inside the cave. With a loud boom, Naruto crashed into the sewer. There were small injuries to his body, and he was unconsciously lying in front of the gate. The Kyuubi was in its human form and tried to get out of the cage, but he could not leave the cage. It was like some invisible barrier was stopping him from getting out of the cage. Naruto was lying unconscious, and it looked like he was about to die when he saw that the Kyuubi tried to rescue him. He started to channel his chakra to heal him, but it couldn't pass through the sealed cage. There was nothing he can do to help him overcome his death, but he kept trying to send his chakra. Suddenly the Kyuubi started to feel an uneasy presence, but he couldn't find anyone other than himself and Naruto lying unconscious in front of him. The presence started to get stronger with every second, and soon there was an eye-blinding light in front of the cage. After a while, the light disappeared, and Naruto was nowhere to be found. The Kyuubi tried to get out of the cage, but he can't pass through the barrier. Hiruzen was in his office and there was a lot of paperwork that he needed to check, but soon he thought about Naruto. He then called an Anbu and asked him to check on Naruto. If he is free, then tell him to come and see me in my office. The Anbu then left the place, and after a while, he appeared in front of Naruto's flat using a leaf shunshin. He tried to open the door, but it was locked from inside. He tried calling Naruto, but there was no reply. He then left the place and went to report the details of the mission to the Hokage. He left the place by a leaf shunshin and appeared in the Hokage's office. He then reported everything that happened, and Hiruzen then asked the Anbu if he noticed anyone else in the surroundings of Naruto's apartment. The Anbu replied with a nod and said, "Hokage-sama, I have noticed a faint presence near his flat, but it disappeared when I reached the spot to check." Hokage ordered him to watch the route headquarters and report if there are any movements, and be careful while doing your mission. Don't get noticed by the route Anbu. It was night and Naruto was awake. He looked outside and it was dark. Everyone was going back to their houses. He was very hungry and he went out to get something to eat. When he was passing by the streets, everyone was looking at him with a glint of disgust, and he could feel their hateful glaring, but he ignored their glares and walked towards the ramen shop. When he reached the ramen shop, the old man and his daughter welcomed him. Soon there was a bowl in front of him. He started eating the ramen, and Aim came to Naruto and whispered something in his ear. Soon Naruto looked down at his clothes and ate his ramen, then rushed to his house without even looking back. When he reached his house, he stood in front of the mirror and looked at himself to find that he had grown taller. His body is athletic and there was no strain on his body. Then he looked at his training equipment. They all were still attached to his body. To his surprise, he didn't feel any strain on his body and he was physically fit, and above all this, his strength had also grown a lot. He then dressed, then left the house and headed towards the training ground to test his strength. He wanted to test his strength, so he didn't remove his weights. Naruto didn't hold back anything because there was no one to see him in the middle of the night. First, he wanted to test his speed and stamina. The ground was very large and Naruto started to run laps around the ground. His fastest time was 50 seconds to complete one lap around the ground, and Naruto started to run at the same speed around the ground. It's been a while and Naruto was full of energy. There was no fatigue. He then looked at the time. It was almost an hour and he was still not at his limit. To his surprise, he was not using any chakra to enhance himself. He increased his speed further and started to run at an eye-blinding speed, and it took him only 40 seconds to complete a lap at his full speed. After running at full speed for 10 minutes, she started to feel exhausted, but he was nowhere near to stop. He continued running for an hour, and he stopped because of physical exhaustion. He used healing jutsu to replenish his energy. Now he wanted to test his strength, and he saw a huge boulder in the middle of the training ground. He walked towards it, and when he stood in front of the boulder, it was as huge as a mountain. He raised his fist and punched the boulder with all his strength. It was broken into pieces, the rubble started to fall, and the dust covered everything. After the dust cleared in the boulder place, there were two big rocks, and the rubble was all over the place. Naruto used his hand to chop and strike the rocks, and they were turned into rubble. The big boulder in the middle of the training ground was turned into rubble. Naruto went back to his house without cleaning the mess he created. He intentionally left all the rubble uncleared in the training ground. He went to sleep. After some time of rest, it was early in the morning. He got up and went to take a shower. After washing himself with hot water, he was refreshed and there was no fatigue from his training. He dressed and locked his house and then left the place. On the way, he saw a clothing shop and he went inside to buy some clothes that fit his size. He was in the shop for half an hour and after that, he changed into his new clothes. He took everything he wants and paid the bill and left the place. He went to his house and dressed in his new clothes and then went to the Hokage's office to Hiruzen. When he entered the office, he saw Hiruzen signing all the paperwork. When Hiruzen saw Naruto, he was shocked because he was dressed in fancy clothes and he was taller than his usual height. Hiruzen asked Naruto what happened to him this past week. How did he grow taller in a week? Naruto was not attentive But when he heard what Hiruzen said, he was shocked and asked, "How long it's been since I moved into my new house?" Hiruzen replied that it has been a week since he moved into his new house. He then asked about his rapid growth and dressing. Naruto replied that, after checking all the scrolls that belonged to my mom's clan, I was tried, and then I fell into a deep sleep. After that, I didn't remember anything. When I woke up from my sleep I was like this, and the clothes I brought them this morning. Naruto, I think you know your mother is from a powerful clan, and that means you have a family, but remember everything I am going to say to you right now. You still don't know completely about your mother. I would like to tell you about her, but it would be better if you learn about her yourself. Hiruzen then handed a file to Naruto and said, "This is every bit of information that I can gather about your mother. I also have your mother's will, and it will be given to you when you become a genin. Until then you should concentrate on your studies and sharpen your skills, also master your sealing techniques by the time you become a genin." Hiruzen then said, "Naruto, I have a request, that is, I need you to take care of the 2 Uchihas in your class, also be careful while interacting with them. If anything goes wrong then it would be a disaster. It is your responsibility to make sure they don't take an evil path to accomplish their goals, because they are some of the few Uchihas who are alive and loyal to Konoha." Naruto then asked what happened to the Uchiha clan. Hiruzen didn't reply to his question and he said, "Naruto, we can discuss this later, but you should take responsibility for the Uchihas until they are complete their academy. I want you to stop them from turning into criminals to achieve their goals. I leave the rest in your capable hands. You have a huge responsibility to fulfill." That's it for this video, guys. If you like this video then please do share, like, and subscribe to this channel for more videos.